Charles Lee Buddy Stewart. His class of 1953. He was one of 10 children of the late Charles Gillis and Minnie Walker Stewart of Matheny. After graduating from Oceana High School, he attended Concord College until 1955, and during those years, it said that he had hitchhiked home every weekend to help his mother. He took a teaching position after 2 years of college, which was common in those days, and he taught at Barker's Ridge Grade School. He's also taught at Matheny Grade School. In 1956, he married Pauline McKinney, who's now deceased, and started working at a lot of different jobs. Eastern Coal, Hope Gas. He worked in Hampshire County as a director of food services and different things all through the county. In 1977, he received his BS degree from West Virginia Tech, and believe me, and most of us can understand this, after you've been out of school 24 years, you certainly don't want to go back. And he went back because his degree was important to him, his education was important to him. He and Pauline had 2 children, Keith Stewart and Lisa Stewart Goins, and his second wife, Carolyn Davison Stewart, that passed away in 2007. And someone wrote, and I don't think I could have said anything better in his biography there, as all of you can read, that Charles's life is an excellent example of a life well lived. And accepting from Mr. Stewart tonight is his son, Keith Stewart. Let's give Keith a big round of applause.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the committee for their consideration and the selection of my father for this honor. Be somewhat pleased. There were 3 things that were basically important to my dad, and that was an education, his family, and his church. At the time he was going to school here, it would have been very easy for him to have just dropped out, got a job, and tried to take care of his family, but he had encouragement from the staff here at the school to stay at the school. He didn't get to participate in sports activities because after school he was working with the custodians to make extra money to help his mom take care of his younger siblings that were still at home. Being the oldest, he felt it was his duty to help his mother with his younger brothers and sisters as best he could. Dad was never bitter about that. In fact, I never heard him say one word that would make you think he was upset about the course that he had chosen at that time. The staff here encouraged him to pursue an education that helped him get into Concord College, where he did get his teaching certificate. And from there, he came back to his beloved Wyoming County, where he ended up at Matheny, where he had the privileged job or chore of having his younger brother Jack in his classroom. He often told me he was a little harder on Jack because he didn't want the other kids to think that he was going to be easy on Jack because it was his younger brother. And in addition to that, I found out this evening his younger sister Patsy was also a student at Matheny Grade School. In fact, he sent her to the office once for calling him Buddy instead of Mr. Stewart. He did talk about coming home on the weekends from Concord, hitchhiking, and always being able and lucky enough to catch a ride back on Sunday evening. During the summers, he would work for the gas company, cutting right-of-ways, and there was often talk that 6 or 7 foot rattlesnakes and swarms of yellow jackets to fight off during that time. Of all the jobs he had through the years, the one thing he really enjoyed the most was teaching. He loved teaching. He would have stayed in the teaching profession, but as the teachers, if there is any in the room tonight, would know, it's hard to make a living and support your family with a teacher's salary. And that is the one thing that he stuck in my head, that he really loved teaching, and it was what he thought he was called to do, but he just couldn't support the family that he had on a teacher's salary. When I was growing up, it was never an option for me to think of anything other than to get a college education. From the time I could remember, my dad was always saying, son, you're going to college, you're going to use your brain and not your back to make a living. When I graduated from college in 1979, I think it was one of the proudest times in my dad's life. But I too went back and got a master's degree in '97, and he was very proud of me at that point in time. My sister, being hearing impaired, was not able to get a regular education in the public school system at that time because there was no special ed services for her. The only place that she could get an education was for the School for the Deaf in Romney, West Virginia. So in 1968, when I was in 5th grade at Messini Elementary, he packed me up and moved me to Hampshire County. From there, I graduated from Hampshire High School. She was there at the School for the Deaf until her 10th grade year. Dad had got a few promotions and had to move to Charleston to take on a different job. And she came from School for the Deaf back to South Charleston to live with Mom and Dad. And at that time, he spent 2 to 3 hours an evening working with her to make sure that she got what she needed out of the classroom or out of the books to get through the classroom. There again, he was still teaching. Nothing was more important to my dad than his family. He loved my mother dearly and was a great example of what a father and a husband should do. He always had good advice for me. I was amazed how much the man's IQ improved between my 18th and 25th birthday. His brothers and his sisters and his family, his siblings, all meant the world to him. I don't recall him ever talking about any disagreements that they had or any arguments that caused hard feelings that happen in some families that you are all been exposed to. Our vacations was always coming back to Wyoming County to visit with our family and spend time with my grandmother, my aunts and uncles who all lived down here. Family get-togethers were always fun. There was always love showed by all the family. There was always hugs when you met and hugs when you left. And that's the one thing that I think has really kept our family together over the years, is the love that they've all had for each other and the love that he exemplified. Drives back home were hard from Hampshire County. There was no interstate. It was an 8 to 10 hour drive depending on traffic, just one way. Dad was active in the church and faithful to the church until his death. It was his love of God and family that he exemplified every day to me and to anybody that ever really comes in contact with him. I don't think I could have made it as brave as he did. Dad's roots ran deep, and Wyoming County was always home. His last request was to be brought back home to Messini, where it all began. That's where he felt it all should end. With all the accomplishments and accolades he received during his lifetime, I think the one he would have been most proud of would be today, to be recognized by his old school as someone worthy of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Thank you.